Okay. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's call. It's Tuesday, the 13th of February, Valentine's Day tomorrow. As a friendly reminder, if any of you may have forgotten and have a significant other that needs to have some helpful, loving expression tomorrow, make sure you don't forget. So, lots going on. Again, it's always good, just as a quick preamble before the message begins, it always pays to check the back office in Nikken for any updates, any news, any announcements. There are incentives that run, and discounts are offered and special offers are given to customers and consultants and so on. Be sure to check the back office regularly. Also be sure to read the blogs that are put out there. Often, halfway down the blog, you might discover there might be an announcement or some information there that you really need to get. So be sure to read it, be sure to share it, and also be sure to follow them on Facebook and to connect there where information is shared freely and frequently. It's good to do that as a practice. And when we're bringing new people in, it's a good reminder for them to recognize that this is where the sources of information come. This kind of leads into my message today because I wanted to talk about the subject of learning. It's been said that those that are really well educated never stop learning, and it's incumbent upon each of us to take the responsibility or the initiative in order to learn. Educational psychologists have told us that at the heart of learning is discovery, meaning the responsibility is more upon the shoulders of the learner than it is upon the teacher in order to get the answers and the solutions. So how does that work within Nikken? How does that fit within a network marketing environment? I want to use an example. I always use analogies that tend to circle around my home life, don't I? It works and they seem to be well received. But I'm coming up next month on 18 years of marriage. That's not long in the grand scheme of things, and certainly not when I look at the likes of Dennis and Ruth who are on the call. It's not a candle to the wind of their accomplishments. But 18 years is very significant for us. But one thing that is perhaps interesting at this phase is I can look back over these 18 years and we've had 9 pregnancies and seven children, which means almost half of our married life, my wife has been pregnant. Or maybe breastfeeding, kind of put those two together and you've got almost 50% of our married life. Kim's been in that state. But I share this because when she first got pregnant, now, as I was saying before the call, our oldest turned 17 in just a few days. So, almost 17 years ago, or 18 years ago, I guess, is when we were married all of a couple of months before she got pregnant. So we were right in there with that process. But straight away, she wanted to know and felt the need to know everything that was happening with her as a pregnant woman. Every trimester, she knew what was going on to the baby on a weekly basis and what was happening to her. After the baby, or what was going to happen in delivery, she knew everything that was going to happen from the nurses and the midwife's perspective, from her perspective, what would happen afterwards, who would be visiting her, when and where, in regards to the home care that we get with the NHS in the UK, which is fantastic. But what would happen to her body afterwards, what needed to happen to recover, and throughout each process, throughout each phase, what can she do to influence the best outcome? What can she do to influence the best opportunity for the growing baby, to give them the best environment to live and to grow and to, and so on. Over time, with her doing this repeatedly and reading every book, and then it crept into what to expect in the first year of the baby's life, and how to influence the right sleeping patterns and the right sleeping habits, and when to get them off the breast and onto whole foods and all that kind of stuff, and you name it. She became the master of all of it and knew everything. I am confident that we've got 7 kids now, primarily because I have so much confidence in her as a mother, that I can just kind of go with the flow and know it's in good hands. I'm a comfortable second place when it comes to what we do here in the Woodward home, and so much so when we went to hospital on our 6th baby. This is an interesting scenario. We were sat in the I'm not sure what the room is. It's not the delivery room, because that's perhaps a private room that you go to. But there is a space where expecting mothers are in labor. This is how it works in the UK. Yeah, expecting mothers are in labor, and you'll have multiple women in the room at the same time, in multiple, each in their own beds, and they won't go upstairs to the delivery suite until they're ready to deliver. Until that time, they're all sharing and occupying the same space. And across the room from us was this lady who was really in a great deal of pain, making a lot of noise, as everyone has their own experience, expresses it their own way. Kim was sat there, kind of cross-legged, calm, quiet, composed, easygoing, and this was her 6th time round. She knew what was happening, knew what was going on, and she's in her own different space, in her own league, I think, when it comes to these scenarios. But the midwives, when they found out that it was her 6th, and when she spoke to them, kind of using their own vernacular, because she knew all the medical terms that they were using, when they'd learned that she had successfully breastfed on all of her other children, when so many women had struggled in many instances to do that, and she'd done it with every single one. One of them expressed that they felt a little intimidated in being her midwife, because she was so competent and so experienced. It even reached the point that at the end, afterwards, when we'd finished, they even suggested to Kim that she should come back to the hospital and offer classes to expectant mums on different phases of their journey that she could provide help and support with. And isn't that remarkable? How did that happen? Because she was so passionate about her role as a mum, she devoured everything there was to know on the subject. She asked all the right questions. Anthony Robbins said, great people, or smart people, successful people, learn to ask the better questions. And as a result, they get the better answers. Now, the key for us to grow in our business is to ask the great questions. I share the example with Kim. I know that's not a business scenario, but it's a principle that applies to us in Nikken. We need to fall in love with what we do. Hopefully, we're already in love with what we do, and as a consequence, the questions come naturally, because I have found when we love what we do, that love initiates the questions being asked. It is that love that is the source of inspiration, which causes us to ask the questions. If I am indifferent, I will not even think of the right questions to ask as to how to grow, because my indifference doesn't spark any particular emotion which is designed to move me forwards. So we've got a virtuous circle here. This is the good thing. We know that love and passion for our subject, for our chosen profession, which is network marketing and Nikken, that love for that can drive us to ask all the right questions. And us being responsible as the learner, we are the ones that need to initiate that process. And in the process of doing that, we can get every answer that our heart desires. Isn't that great? Every answer that our heart desires. I was thrilled to see my wife on baby number 4 on the cover of a pregnancy magazine that was on the shelves in Tesco. They decided to interview her, and she was on the front cover. They did a follow-up article. She just grew from strength to strength in this role as mum, and caught people's attention and got involved in the community of where pregnant women and mothers resided. But it was her love for that that made it happen. It's remarkable what we can make happen when we love what we do. Now, what if I don't quite love it enough? What do I do then? What if I see someone like Ben Woodward, who jumps on the phone every week and is excitedly, enthusiastically sharing, and you go, oh, he loves what he does, but I don't feel that way. Or we listen to Dennis and Ruth or Dave or Rick. And Rick is perhaps the most excited and enthusiastic guy around when it comes to talking about this. What if we hear all these guys speaking? Bernadette, Susan Carver, again, Julie Tara, all of these wonderful men and women that enthusiastically promote and champion Nikken, but maybe we don't quite feel that level of enthusiasm. Maybe we've hit a brick wall. Maybe we've just had some rejection. I got an email not that long ago, just the other day, where some personal requests for help were asked for. And one of the challenges that they had was they're just getting started in the business. They thought they were doing the right thing and inviting people to their home for a presentation, and they had someone to help them with that. But they got let down, and a lot of people didn't turn up. They got discouraged, and they called me. They reached out to me to say, am I doing something wrong? You know, is there a better way that I can be doing this? What happened there? Now, it was the right thing that they were doing. But what do we do if our energy level dips? If our emotions dip? If our love for what we are doing starts to diminish? Fortunately, it's a virtuous circle. Like I said, the learning continues. If we throw ourselves into an environment where we can learn, I believe reading, I'm a fan of reading. You can see all the books I've got behind me, and that's a fraction of my books that I have. But if we can throw ourselves into some good books, throw ourselves into some good audio material, throw ourselves into some good YouTube videos, immerse ourselves so that our learning picks up again. That's the critical thing. If we recommit ourselves to learning, what we can find is in the process of learning, we will experience discovery. And discovery is always enjoyable, isn't it? When we discover something new, it's always enjoyable. Who doesn't like an aha moment? I had a class that I taught on Sunday, and in my preparations for it, I had a number of aha moments. When I had them, I thought, oh, wow, fantastic. Look at this. I didn't know this before. I didn't go, that's not helpful. It's always good. Whenever we have an aha moment, it's always thrilling to get that. So my point is, in order to move forward, we need to be responsible personally for our own learning. These calls and the schedules that we have are helps and guides, but we are responsible for our own personal discovery. And that's really important. Now, keep in mind, we have tools. We have upline, we have crossline, we have teammates, we have events, we have meetings, we have the Nikken websites, we've got our back office, and we've got a whole host of other things available to help us in the learning. We don't work with a blank canvas in that process. We have tools and resources, and we are always part of that process. But the buck always stops with us, doesn't it? I want to share something that I've been learning since I got back from Salt Lake City. Because one of the big aha moments for me in Salt Lake was Dr. Gary Linder's presentation. It was incredible. And so I want to share some things. And this is the neat thing as well, ladies and gentlemen, is I learned some of this stuff pretty quickly. As I've been reading it and writing it and making notes, I want to put some of this into presentation form so we can deliver it and maybe offer it as a tool for others. But at the same time, I don't want to rob others of their own discovery process. It might be worthwhile others doing this independently and seeing what they come up with. But one of the things that I've been reading up on and studying recently is on the subject of water and the subject of plastic. Now, in the Nikken home, the Nikken wellness home, the water products and the water systems stand as essential foundational products that support our wellness environment. Not only are they essential in our wellness environment, but the Nikken office have also made them the foundation of our business building as well, because we can get water packs for 500 points, meaning that they've delivered it in a way that can break it down into units that can be built with the business. You get 500 points. We all teach people that to do 500 points in retail sales a month, that's one water pack. If you do that and you get three others to do that, you get, if you get three others to do that, you got 1,500 points, you're executive. If you've got three people that do that, you're now a silver. Do you know what I mean? You can get there very quickly through using the water packs alone in building the business. Now, they're doing that to promote the business building opportunity, but at the same time, they're also helping us place emphasis on an economically, environmentally, and biologically critical message. The message which is becoming very front and center in the news of the damage to the environment with plastics. And of course, the need biologically for us to be better hydrated and in a more alkaline state for better health with better water. So all of these messages link significantly. Louise is just putting here, 1 second, is it available from Salt Lake? It is. I might need to double check, Louise, with Dave to see if it's been presented. I know a lot of them have been recorded and made available. I'll double check and get back to you. If anyone else knows the answer, please put it in the chat. But here's some interesting statistics that will scare the bejeebies out of you. Americans used about 50 billion plastic water bottles last year. 50 billion. Now, here's a frightening statistic that goes alongside of that. Its recycling rate is 23%. Isn't that frightening? Which means 38 billion water bottles, more than $1 billion worth of plastic is wasted every year. In the UK, 275,000 tons of plastic are used in the UK alone. That's separate from the 50 billion plastic water bottles in the US. This equates to, in the UK, 15 million bottles per day being created. And it says here that most families throw away 40 kilograms of plastic, which could otherwise have been recycled. That's scary. And it says plastic can take up to 500 years to decompose. I'll share with you another frightening statistic here. It says more than 60 million plastic water bottles end up in landfills and incinerators every day. A total of about 22 billion last year. 6 times as many plastic water bottles were thrown away in the US in 2004 compared to 1997, meaning we're using more and more and more water bottles, plastic bottles. This is a trend that is getting worse, not better. Now, clearly, this is an issue. What I love about the Nikken sports bottle is if I was to use a plastic, if I was a regular consumer and I wanted to drink 1 glass of bottled water a day, which is not a lot of water to begin with if I'm supposed to be drinking 8 bottles of water a day, but if I'm going to have a bottle, that might be approximately £1 if I make that an average. Yeah, I know it's a little bit more typically. But that means that over a 3-month period, I'll have spent over £100 in bottled water, and I will have thrown 120 at least or thereabouts bottles of plastic into the waste, into the bin, simply to get a bottle of water into my system. With the Nikken water bottle, it's biodegradable, environmentally friendly, and it's filtered, meaning you get a filter with it, which means you get 1 bottle and you use it over and over and over and over again, which means at the end of the 3 months, your cost per bottle for water is significantly lower in comparison. But in addition to that as well, you are not putting all of these plastics into the environment. What a significant difference that is. Better water, cheaper water, and no damage to the environment. Now I've pulled up, again, I want to share an example here of what is really cool about being an independent learner. I went to Google and I typed into Google, what are the benefits of Nikken pie water? Now I typed that into Google. I didn't go to my upline or go to somewhere else. I just typed that in. But what are the benefits of Nikken pie water? And I came to a website, nikkenenergy.blogspot.co.uk. I'm not sure who owns this. Nikki Edgell. Nikki Edgell wrote this. And she's in my downline. Isn't that great? I am learning from my downline. And right up the front, at the top of the search, came Nikki Edgell's blog on the benefits of why Nikken water is good for you. Let me share with you some of the things that she shared. Keep in mind the plastic crisis that we've got. You can absorb the water better. This is demonstrated not by by you not feeling the water sitting heavy in your stomach like you do after drinking a glass of tap water. It's more absorbable. It goes into your system better, which is really important when it comes to what happens next. The water energizes your cells. That's important because it's water that helps really get everything to every place in the body, isn't it? In order to get the nutrients and the vitality and the life that we need that conductor, which is the water happening there, doing its job well. The water is alkaline with a pH of approximately 8 to 9. Most bottled water is more acidic and is less than the pH of 7, which is frightening. Acidic diets we know can contribute towards many health problems, such as osteoporosis and diabetes. The waterfall has an all-in-one multi-stage filter removing contaminants which are present in tap water, heavy metals, pesticides, and chlorine. The filter removes between 60 and 65% of any fluoride in tap water. Most alternative filtration systems take out the good stuff as well as the bad, leaving behind pure, clean, but dead water. The Nikken filter adds essential minerals and electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, calcium, manganese, and sodium. Oh, isn't all of this good? And she's got a list here. If I was to show you this list, I'm not sure if this is going to work. The light is a bit too bright, perhaps. But this page scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. As maybe if you can see my finger scrolling here, with all of these different reasons why the Nikken water is the best water on the planet to be drinking. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's really important for us to become independent learners, to recognize that this is a principle of leadership. Leaders are people that are solution-oriented, that when we find barriers or obstacles, they look for ways to sort it out and get the job done. They're the people that go, no matter what, things are going to happen when it comes to me. And the way that they do that is by taking responsibility for their own learning. There have been many times when I've been given a task and I've accepted it, not knowing at the beginning how I'm going to get it finished. But I know it's possible. And if it's possible, then I'm going to find a way and get it done. And I think we need to have that mindset a little bit more when it comes to our Nikken business. Like I said, I've just given a simple example of applying that to water. You know, there is such a message out there that the more we learn, the more we can internalize that, make some notes on it, create some of our own presentations if need be, so that when we're talking to people, we can share a message that is potent, powerful, relevant, and beneficial. Again, educational psychologists have told us that we learn at an accelerated rate when we learn with the intent of teaching others. So, as we're making notes, as we're writing up what we're learning, sharing these statistics, then I think it would be really helpful for us to have in our mind, imagine what this is going to sound like, or how am I going to put this when I'm talking to a potential customer, or when I'm following up with an existing customer, or a prospect, or a business partner, team member, so on. It's really, really important that we learn, and we learn with the intent of teaching. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's my message for today. I hope that it's been helpful. Let's take some greater responsibility. Let's see what happens as a result. It would be neat to see some messages coming back of presentations that have been created blogs that have been written, messages that have been posted, stories that are being shared, where we are sharing things that we have learned that have made a difference in our business or in the lives of others. It is more of that sharing that will go a long way to the collective good. We need to make sure we participate in that process. So thank you very much. Let's go all out there, ask better questions, love more, do more, and achieve better results. Thank you very much, and we'll speak soon.